Hi, my name is Victoria Chen. I graduated from Sunset in 2011, and I'm making this video as part of a series of interviews Mr. Galbraith is doing. After graduating from Sunset, I went to Penn State and majored in engineering science and minored in physics. I just graduated from Penn State last month, which was May 2016, and this fall I'll start grad school at Stanford, working towards a PhD in electrical engineering. A major reason that I went to Penn State was for their engineering science program, which is a pretty general type of engineering that allows for a lot of freedom and flexibility in choosing the courses that make up your curriculum. And that was really great for me because I didn't know specifically what area of engineering I wanted to focus on. So really, the first few years of college for me were kind of just taking courses in a lot of different areas and trying to narrow down what exactly I wanted to study long term. Outside of coursework, I worked in a laser lab for a little bit, and then spent a couple years in a neuroscience research lab studying the development of the vascular system of mouse brains. That was a really great experience, and I learned how to write grant proposals and got my first publication. So I learned a lot, but it really still wasn't what I wanted to study long term. Then eventually I took a device physics course and really enjoyed that. So I realized I kind of wanted to focus on sort of solid state device physics and transistor technology. So then during my junior year, I left school for a bit to do an 8-month internship with Intel, and that kind of solidified my interest in nanotechnology. One of the most important parts of my education at Sunset was definitely taking IB Computer Science. Even though I didn't actually major in computer science, just having some background in programming was extremely valuable. In every research lab that I worked in and every internship, there was always some space for automating a process or writing a script to analyze data or do some sort of statistical data analysis. So really, even though programming specifically wasn't my focus, it was really an invaluable tool that kind of opened up a lot of doors and allowed for a lot more opportunities while I was kind of exploring different areas and trying to figure out my interests. IB classes in general were pretty valuable to me. I'm not sure the diploma as a whole was that valuable, but I guess it was an experience. Specifically, the most valuable Sunset classes were IB Computer Science, as mentioned before, and then also IB Math and Physics really helped me to kind of get a foundation in just the basics that allowed for exploring different engineering areas later. To talk about IB Computer Science some more, I think one of the reasons that was so valuable to me is that it's very different than a lot of the other IB classes. It's more applied, definitely. So whereas in a lot of classes at a high school level, it's necessary to kind of learn the facts and then regurgitate those in a paper or on an exam. Whereas in IB Computer Science, it's really taking a lot of the knowledge that we learn and trying to apply it to solve a problem or write code to create some sort of project. So in the end, you actually have a finished product that you made um, using the application of knowledge, which is really useful. One of the most surprising things about college was how difficult it was to narrow my focus and figure out exactly what I was interested in studying. I had thought that the hardest part about college would be the exams or the course load, and those were challenging sometimes, but it was definitely a lot more difficult to try to figure out exactly what I wanted to study long term. I think there's definitely an emphasis on doing well in classes and doing a lot of extracurriculars, but for anyone still in high school, it's also really important to kind of stop once in a while and figure out what you enjoy doing. Um, I mean, just within EECS, for example, there are so many sub-disciplines like physical electronics or robotics or machine learning, signal processing, integrated circuits. So a lot of the time, it is hard to know what you would be happy working on for a long period of time. So it's really important to kind of just explore all the different options and look into what makes you happy. Beyond Sunset, definitely having some experience in programming was extremely useful, both in classes and then also in doing research and in internships. It was a really useful skill to have. On top of that, I mean, Sunset has a lot of really great extracurricular activities, so that maybe was more of a habit, but just being used to getting involved in other academic activities outside of classes was pretty useful. In my case, for going to grad school, it's very advantageous to do research as an undergrad, so just kind of being in the habit of getting involved outside of just taking classes was very useful. And I think as a whole, I felt pretty well prepared for college after 4 years at Sunset, and I guess it was a pretty good experience overall. Thanks.